What's good, man?
Yeah, it's killing, man.
Yeah, I said I had to figure out a way to do this. I was sitting there last night, and man, it was so crazy yesterday. The information I was, man, after we talked, it was just like I was blown. And then it was like me and mom had a conversation, just talking about some of the same things,
Yeah.
all kind of stuff to the point where we were going to Lowe's to get the light bulbs, and she drove into the Food Lion parking lot. And I was like, "Oh, I think you want to go to Lowe's first," because she was so into the moment. It was like I'm laughing at the whole time, and we get back to the house, and I was giving her a verse, and I told her about you and I talking and how the script was woven, but also talking about real life. I was like, "Oh
hmm
yeah," and she and I had another just sat there and just talked about, man, I don't know how much I put her light bulbs in, and she was
Yeah.
she was just we had a good time, and Anna showed up. And it was like, then Anna and I had a conversation, and I'm sitting there like, what the hell just happened this day? I said, think about it. The four of us have been, as they would say, disjointed, right?
Uh-huh.
And all of a sudden, yesterday it was like, and we all had some type of communication, real strong communication, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the irony?
Agreed. Yeah, it's just interesting. Yeah, it was. I was thinking about that too. The energy yesterday, like with like we chat yesterday, and I knew you said you was going to hang out with mom and aunt, and I was like, yeah, I just felt it, even though we didn't talk about it. I was like, I just knew the conversation. Like how you said you and mom were chopping it up and everything, so I knew like Annalyn was just like,
Yeah, she
yeah,
had to,
sponge and toast. Yeah.
she had to co-sign because a lot of the things she was sharing with me about her job, there was some comparisons to my past situation, but I was like, and she was shocked when I said the Sunday before I even uh, terminated myself. I'm gonna use that word. I ain't gonna say resign because resign is when you kind of turn in a letter or whatnot. I went in like self-terminated.
Yeah.
And it was like, because I remember when I was going through orientation, this is for people who might see this because I don't know if I'm a player or not, or it's recording, by the way, but it's just
Okay.
like I just want to see what this spiritual energy be like. And when I was there, it's like, okay, it was like, you're looking for someone to do this particular show and this project with. And I was like, well, hell, he does work from home. He does
hmm
fit the intelligence and the intellect, and he knows music. He been in the band, did some different things, military. And I was like, ho. And this is how the conversation started. It's like, how many other brothers you see on YouTube who got podcasts? And I was like, hold up. They're twin brothers, some other guys. They talk about rap, different stuff, politics, which I don't really give a damn about.
Yeah,
But their
yeah.
energy, I got it. And it was like, because now everybody can do a podcast. It's like, well, yeah, we'll get one too. And I was like, I never want to do one just because somebody else got one. So I listened
hmm
to the energy, and it was like, does it have substance or is it
hmm
emotional response?
hmm Yeah.
And, and so I was like, hold up. And I was like, okay, I don't want to do that. I said, but then God, it was like late last night. This is the culmination. I'm sitting outside, and I guess I know I'm recording this thing this is a I don't care moment. It's like, and her mom had a CBD thing that Rick had. And I was like,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm like, I'm either I do it because the one I had in the back was the past has been so I don't know. It just wasn't. I was like, either gonna be the real THC or none at all. I
But
was.
nothing at all.
It's real
Right.
simple. I'm like, I don't like playing games. So,
Right.
anyways, I got it home and I sit there just thinking about the conversation we had and Andelin, and I went and lit that thing up, and I was like, and the way it is, I mean, I could tell. I know I'm just talking. The way they roll it, it's like they put like almost 2 grams in one thing. Yeah, I didn't know. I said, so what the hell is Rick getting? I said, and I looked at it, I said, oh. Usually I don't roll, but like maybe, might it be less than a gram?
Yeah.
Right. So it's
Wow.
1.8. And I'm sitting there and and it made me start researching it and researching. I was like, hold on. I said, so when I get in the market, because what I was really looking for was a transition away from what I normally did, but I still want to have the same euphoria in a sense because uh,
Yeah.
yeah, because
Yeah. Gotcha.
yesterday. It was like we were talking. It was like okay, we were all meeting in the round table in the inner room, and me and you and
hmm
mom we had our conversations at different times.
Right.
But it was like it was an inner room conversation, powerful. when Jesus was explaining things to the boys, he wasn't around everybody.
Uh-huh.
He was only with them certain people because he needed them to get the message first so they can walk in. And I was like, and he said, just get with Twan. I was like, okay, he got the look. He has the voice. I said he has the articulation. He has the intelligence. He has the self. He's traveled, done things with Lynn, been all over, seen some things. So your experiences are different. I said it won't. It always be like we're two friends versus two brothers.
Right. Yeah.
And remember, after Dad passed away, that was what I was trying to be in your life. That's why we was hanging out with Spanky and doing all the crazy shit we did. We did a
Yeah.
lot though.
Yeah. Oh man. That's what I was
I,
like, bro. Like a lot. It was just like I think about that like these days, man. Like I'm trying to get my camera to do some with.
you
Oh man,
did.
sorry about that. But yeah, man. I tried to. Why is it doing that? Okay. So yeah, I think about that lots of times, man. I'm like, man,
Really?
like me, growing up. So like it was interesting because like a lot of times, like when I got to college, you know, a lot of stuff people were like, oh, let's go do this, go do that. And for me, it was kind of like, it's cool. I kind of, I didn't want to say I'd been there, done that, met, going out with you like to different clubs and stuff,
All
meeting
that.
people, running into famous people or whatever. So like going out to the club by that time, it was like, okay, that's cool. I ride out with y'all. And so, but it was cool. But at the same time, it it set me up to be used to like kind of like being around like more mature people. And
Right.
I always had a thing to be around mature people because I always want to learn something that still sticks to me to this day. And I'm always learning stuff from like mature people to keep
Well,
me grounded.
yeah, it was so funny because when you said that, I was just thinking, I was like, wow, I said, and that's why even this conversation, just I'm listening to it, and I was like, the flow of it's so easy to the point where it's like, I, I, I said, damn, I can throw the script out the window, whatever I might have had planned. It was like, no, 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 because I had this little whiteboard set up, this information on it. Just it was a good question that sometimes you get to, but it was like, just listen to the flow right now. It's like this is the naturalistic flow I wanted with the podcast that I would do with someone. I said, but at the same time, I was like, it's a podcast. He said, well, yeah, that's to get in the visual. I said, but for this thing I'm about to blow off the water with the station, I was like, he's probably the only person who can go back with me and not like and be in concert, so to speak. Like, well, yeah,
Hmm.
because you got your different perspectives because of your experiences. And
Hmm.
I was like, hold up, it makes it so easy because I'm trying to think. I said, I got my little homie Trail in Greenville. I said, he might work. I said, Dominique, kid I taught, pretty smart, witty kid, but he be in between his crazy baby mom and stuff like that. And I was like, so there's a lot of personal things he's still growing into. And I was like,
Gotcha.
you want to kind of season that don't mean they know it all, but
Yeah,
season.
exactly. Yeah.
And that thing
Yeah.
about being around older people, it's like we both had. And I was like, okay, it really made me wiser in my years. So
Hmm.
and I was like, I said, you know what? I said, so the flow would be too easy versus me trying to get with my man up in DC. Because every time he talk, if I say it's white, he gonna say it's black, just because and then he's gonna.
Just because.
And I was like, it reminds me too much of Uncle Randy and things of that nature. And I was like, oh, dude, I don't want to deal
Yeah.
with that because I'm not looking for somebody to agree. But I'm looking for somebody
Yeah.
to have another vantage and might share something to add because somebody may hear them differently than they hear me, but we both saying the same thing.
The same thing. Yeah. From different. Yeah.
See,
Exactly.
and you said it yesterday. I think you said the word unit. I think we were talking about the macrocosm
Uh-huh.
and the microcosm. When
Yes.
and last night, this is where I can talk about the how all four of us exchanged yesterday.
Hmm.
When those four individual units came together in harmony on one accord, it was just so many beautiful things that have been birthed from that one moment. Four
Hmm.
units coming together as
Hmm.
one.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, look, I couldn't go to sleep till like 2:15. I don't know. I was just up.
Just
I was like, energy was crazy. I was out there literally talking out loud in thanks and gratitude. That's okay. Because when I said he dropped it on me,
yeah.
oh, oh. It's crazy because mom even heard the little mix show I did when I was working with Buddha. She was like, I said, yeah, and the thugs loved it. She said, huh? I said, yeah, they are. I said, they loved it. I said, because they were like, my gosh, she was like, they heard the hip hop and the new stuff that was out, the repeating raps and so on and so forth, the bubblegum shit, I call it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they hear me playing this quote unquote gospel, spiritual, contemporary, and it had a flow of Kirk Franklin to Lecrae to another brand new rapper named Bizzle to Trinity 357. So it
Mm-hmm.
goes, it reminds me of the old Win 106.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh boy. And I said, even though it's old to them, the music they don't really listen to like that. And the way I mixed it, it's like, mom was like, sit down. I said, no, we'll just let it play in the background. So when it played, and somebody came in and I played a worship version that I made for this pastor who was basically trying to pimp me out. He was like, at first he paid me for the first little show I did because he didn't have a band. So I put a worship
Mm-hmm.
mix together so he could just play it overhead
Mm-hmm.
through an MP3 sound, and his church would be able to worship for 15 to 18 minutes of continuous songs. And every once in a while, I come in with a little word, not much, like basically a promo, like
Yeah.
listen, that was all it was. And mom heard it. I said, yeah, I said, I've been doing all this 2021. I said, so it was conceived,
Mm.
but now
Yeah.
it's hitting. I know it's going to be birth, but it's almost out the tube now. That's where I am
Gotcha.
now. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my goodness. And so that's why I said, yeah, let me call him up. I said, because we'll put it together and just talk. But I mean, I figured I said, I was like, he said, we'll practice Zoom call. I'm talking about literally. And that's when I
Mm-hmm.
told mom, I said, and here's the verse. I said, mom, I said, people used to quote it in so many churches. I said, but he said, acknowledge me in all
Mm-hmm.
your ways.
All your ways.
People think it's always all your
Yeah.
ways. I mean, seriously, from when you was cooking yesterday and preparing your meal and doing the potatoes in the oven, there's a certain rhythm that you had and a certain flow. Because I said, like, I was looking at how you did it, and I was like, okay, yeah. So you built a regimen, a discipline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't need anybody to sit there and say, well, Twan, you need to do this or do that. You do it for the benefit of you and your well-being for the week,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
See the common sense behind when did you when did you develop that skill?
I just was thinking, I'm like, you know what, I don't want to be eating out all the time. So I figure, I'm saving money, trying to eat better. But I'm like, you know what? It was real simple because I started cooking, but then I was like, I'm tired of washing these dishes every other day because I'm cooking every other day.
Yeah, I was cooking
But
6 days a week. How about that?
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, like, well, and I was like, I don't mind cooking, but like I don't want to be running a dishwasher. That jacks up the electricity bill. So that leaves me with washing dishes. So I'm washing dishes 3 to 4 times a week. And I don't feel like doing that. So I figure, you know what? I may as well just cook for the whole week. And then also, like when I buy packs of chicken, I'm like, you know what? Instead of cooking half the pack, cook the whole pack at one time. Because I can always freeze. You can pretty much freeze almost anything. And then, take it out the freezer when you need it. So I started doing it. You can literally freeze anything. I've cooked and
Yeah,
frozen grits
but
and
it makes
oatmeal.
sense. But it makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. And so I'm like, I cook. So typically I'll cook. Now I start prepping cooking on a Saturday. That way my son isn't for chilling. And then so by Monday, like I've already I got sweet potatoes, like I got 7 of them. So like whenever I decide to eat throughout the week, it's more of a matter of pulling it out the freezer
Yeah,
and heating it up.
yeah, and we were laughing as when you were saying it because I'm thinking, and when you were talking, I was like, man, I said anyone who may or may not see this with said they could pick up one practical skill. It's like it's not only conservation of energy from the stove per se, but it's conservation of
Mhm.
energy for yourself. So now I have more energy to do other things to
Yes.
promote my well-being and whatever my days need. And I don't have to feel congested by time.
Yes. To include mental health, all that stuff. Like you said, everything, every aspect of it. So like you're conserving energy to put back in yourself
Yeah, and that,
to
but that's
do. Yeah.
But that's the essence of what we should be doing in life. Because if you do that, see, I'll use this, and it's not super spiritual, but if you catch it, said we were not meant to be consumers, but producers. Whether you're producing, waiting on tables, or whether you're producing, pumping gas, or driving, but are you producing? And I want to have the energy to produce, so therefore conservation of my cooking time throughout the week. Plus, I don't have to go and run the stove every day. And like I said, I don't have to wash dishes 3, 4 times a week. Because me, the way I'm cooking, I'll be honest, I'm that dude who has to wash dishes every night, literally. And it was like, and it's kind of laborious, but at the same time, I know it's essential. So if I cook, I clean, but it's a lot of extra work. Now I'm thinking, okay, how can I apply this to my daily living going forward to actually be able to conserve that energy so I can have more time to write, plan production? Because I know going forward this year with this business we're about to get in and started on, it's like, I'm going to need time because I want to do my research and be properly done. But it's like, okay. And I'm listening to this conversation. I was like, see, this is a simple spiritual energy without a biblical text.
Yeah. Sorry about the dog. He's over there. He heard the door.
No word.
Door bell. But and you know, it's funny because that's what we used to do that all the time anyway. Like that's just a natural thing.
But what'd you say? The sound went out.
Yeah, sorry about that. I put on mute. But that's kind of a natural thing of how how we used to chop anyway. Like even back in the day, man, we just naturally just chop. Like the whole energy right now is still the same.
Yeah.
But like I would say it has like I said, developed. It's grown definitely from what we talk about like now. So it's the consistency there, the energy, and how we, articulate and like really get deep into different things. But like you said, it's definitely grown.
Yeah, that's why I was just looking at the whole nine. I was like, wow. I said, when I get it back, I'll probably, I can edit out whatever I want to, which is good because I got that little program. But it's too simple as what we do going forward, because you said in your dialect monologue, I'll say, brothers chopping it up. It's like, that's what we really got to do. Because I mean, the truth is given to us, but we have to chop it up so we can really be able to swallow. Just like when you eat food, you don't just take a whole piece of broccoli and just go. You can, but it's not as pleasant. You don't get down you don't get down to enjoy the flavors and the nutrients.
Right, exactly.
Because you're gorging. And, and I learned it's something simple that over the past 4 years, it's like I've learned to chew my food just a tad bit long versus stick it in, chew, 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 swallow, put it in another, chew, 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 swallow. It's like, and it affects your whole digestive system, if I can say that lightly. And when I realized it, I was like, hold up. So now I'll chew my food even more just because I know in the end it's beneficial for my body. It's easier going in and easier coming out, simply put. So
less energy consumption.
But you get it. So therefore now I can take that energy and use it towards more spiritual practices, to more holistic principles that I've learned along my trips, and how to actually apply them versus, I learned this. Because I heard about you talking about the cooking thing. And I know that mom does it too. And I was like, okay, that would make a lot more sense because I do have some larger pots, but I'll invest in some. So that small investment of getting some more larger size cooking utensils, but then I look at the time that I now have, because when I go back to work, I just don't want to. Sometimes I just want to write. Sometimes I just want to sit and ponder. Sometimes I just want to, but it's like I'll have that adequacy of time and not feel pressed.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay. But yeah, when we was talking, I was like, oh man, this is crazy, because listen to this whole conversation. It's like, no, I already know. My spirit already told me already, yeah, you're going to sit back and edit this one up and put it out for the people, because it's just, I envisioned that the pilot would look different. I'd have on a suit. And it's like, but when the spirit came and said, you don't have to worry about all those perfunctory things, because you don't have to try to impress. You need to try to, what's the word? Not regress. Or I want them to do the opposite. I want to do the opposite of regress. So I want them to progress. How about
progress? Yeah. Yeah.
Progress.
Hmm.
And that's it. And if you progress one day at a time, then you essentially are winning at life. But if you can't see your progress and you're not paying attention to your steps and you're unaware,
Yeah.
it's a
And
sad place.
that's that's when you're wasting time. That's the highest commodity that we have is time.
Yeah, when I realized that, and this is a good way to bring this in. When I wrote the first book, Flow in 12 Steps, and I will, oh, it's going to hide, it's going to mute it. But
Yeah.
Flow in 12 Steps, it says, and I always remember the first line: the rivers flow, the wind flows, and time flows. But most of us can see the river and wind, and we can watch it go by and do its thing. But with time,
Mhm.
I got to put 8 hours in here. I got to go to soccer practice here. I got to get to the gym an hour here. Then I got to run to the grocery store. I got to cook dinner for the kids, and I got to put them to bed and get my me time. Look
Hmm.
how much time is like. It's so much allocated. Whereas the way you cook, I get home, I don't have to run. I can just warm it up. In fact, I don't own a microwave. I don't want one. I was like, I said, because I put my food in a pan or a pot or whatever I can use.
Hmm.
Put water in the bottom of it, turn it on, sit back and relax. It may take
Yeah.
10, 15 minutes. 10 or 15 minutes. What can I do in that time? Sit back and think. I'm
Yeah.
not on the stove doing this right here.
Exactly.
No
Exactly.
energy being exerted. So at the end, it's like time flows. I am rich. I am wealthy beyond most of the billionaires. And it's like, but I don't have assets, physical assets, but I have
Hmm.
time.
Hmm. Yeah. Intangible riches.
Those are things that can come and go, which they have done. And a lot of people, they get there is when they lose it, they lose this. And I was like,
Yeah.
ew, ew.
Hmm.
I will not lose this for anything. So what is the verse is, what is the profit of man to gain the world and lose his soul? You know what I'm saying? It's like, is it worth it? So when I have time now and I sit back and I think about it, it's like the biggest investment I made in myself. I started allocating more time to me, but now listening to that cooking strategy, trust me, I'm going to implement that. It's not going to be like, so when people watch this, here's what I'll say. When you hear something that you can do that's simple, it's simple, but look how it has a myriad of things it gives back to you if you do the right thing. So
Exactly.
you receive time, but what do you do with it?
Hmm.
You gotta,
Exactly.
yeah, it's kind of a cool thing to see. This is how easy, and this is probably where I'll end it. But I'll cut it. But this is how easy it is. And I'm like, no way. I'm sitting here listening to this conversation. I was like, see, this is what I think people need now more so than me getting up
Yeah.
here with the Bible, me spouting conspiracy truths or theories, however you look at it. That
Everybody's doing that.
yeah, right. This right here is like, it's so unexpected. It's like, man, it's seriously simply just chopping it up.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
Chopping
that's
it
what
up.
people do. Yeah,
Huh?
that's what people want. People want like simple stuff, you know?
Because if you give simple stuff, then they can apply it. When I coach basketball and kid made it good with his right hand, simple thing was I put enough drills in it to your left hand. When he became so good, most of us, my teams for the 16 years I coached, they were ambidextrous as I don't know what. They were like, so they didn't know you couldn't push me to the left side of the floor because I'll score that.
Mm,
And it's
yeah.
so, but it's like when your whole team is ambidextrous, because I taught one simple skill,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
the team was holistically better, and
Yeah.
they enjoyed playing with each other.
Yeah.
It's
Simple things.
yeah, it's just like we got back to you. This is like, man, I'm sitting there watching this thing. I thought the Zoom thing with it, we got 10 minutes left. I ain't surprised it ain't came up yet, but it was like, I said, this is what I think. Wow, well, we better take this shit someplace. So I say, this it's gonna
Yeah.
take off. He gave me the vision last night, and I was like, and it was like, I'm sure. He's like, this. He said, "This is $1 million dream." That's exactly what he said. And I was like, and that's when I went to my moment of gratitude because I'm not looking for a physical blessing. I just look for a spiritual message.
Hmm.
That's all I was
Yeah.
looking for. And
Yeah.
and Rick leaving that CBD or thing, whatever. Mom said, well, I don't know what this is. I took it and I looked at it and I said, oh God. I said, you mean I can get the same effect? At first it tastes like, okay, it ain't weak. But then
Mm-hmm.
30 minutes later, I was like, wow. No, ain't no way in the hell. I said, no. Then I realized, I was like, okay. And then I started looking at it, I started studying, and I was like, it even has medicinal effects.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, because it's created in some type of a lab in Colorado.
Right.
And the way they create from that strand, they extract all the THC, but it has some other, I'm like, I'm gonna go read a little bit later, but it's like, it got beneficial properties. I said, no way.
Yeah, it does.
I always heard CBD did, but I was like, I started reading it, I was like, okay. And it
Yeah.
doesn't have the aftertaste or it's a clean, but it's like, it rocked me. I said, I had to go get to bed. I was like, oh, shit. I said, ain't no way in the hell. I'm like, I said, Rick left this gift to me. That's how I said it. And after that word, first thing I
Yeah.
said was, I said, bro, I said, I didn't know. I said, but I thank you. Gave him thanks.
Yeah.
And that's when I went to the talk with the Most High, and I was like, yo. And I thought about it. I said, trust me, all the stuff was in my head, so it started to come out in this conversation. It's
Mm-hmm.
crazy, man.
Yeah, and they got the gummies, the CBD. They even got the flower too. I mean,
Yeah, I
so
said,
and it does the same thing. Yeah.
yeah, like I said, I went online, I looked at all the different products there, and I was like, okay, so when I get back in that, I said, I can do that. I said, you can have it shipped and mailed to you. And I said, wow. So, hey, if you become I think a QP was like 225.
Oh, really? Hmm.
I was like, no way,
And
man.
it's legal.
Yeah, that's what I was like, and I was like, so I looked at it, I said, oh, I said, so I'm thinking, okay, we had our great talk. I get to this thing, and mom gives me, I look at it, and I was like, okay, no big deal. Then I actually use it. And here's the way this really does hit us to the crescendo, because I know the time is going to hit me in a minute. But it was like I told you earlier, that goes back. We were in the upper room when
Mm-hmm.
we were in the upper room. That's the word I say. But
Yeah.
then I hit the little thing that Rick left. He took me to the top of the mountain with him,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and he started downloading, and I was like, oh God. So that's why Jesus would run to the Garden of Gethsemane and get away. That's why he would always run
Ah.
to the mountains. That's why you didn't notice they always went to the mountains. They went to a higher place with fewer people and fewer distractions so you can hear a word and bring it back. And I was like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, that's the quintessential day right there. I said, no way. So even though Rick wasn't physically a part of the interaction,
Mm-hmm.
he was a culmination of my ascension,
Yes.
or
Yes.
our
Our ascension.
ascension.
Yeah.
And
Agreed. Definitely agreed.
it just hit me. I was like, no way. And I'm like, I promise you, I might not even edit it because I might not cut that part out. I might be so raw. And that's how I used to do it radio. I was so raw. If I mess up, I left it there like it was intended.
Yeah.
It was like so many people like they go back and they re-edit it, they cut this part out, make it real clean. I will leave my flaws in just on it because everybody else is cutting this out. People realize
Yeah.
that's authentic as hell.
It's real. It's funny you say that because that's one of the things I loved about kind of taking it to, I call it imperfections. Like even like in the music realm, like one of the things I love is hearing like live music. Even back in the day, when like what you're talking about, when they recorded it, you may hear like a note that's not supposed to be there because someone maybe didn't hit the right note or whatever, or was a little off, but they left it there. But to me, I love those imperfections because it's real, it's authentic. That's what makes it beautiful to me. I even have this glass that I have. It's one of my favorite glasses, and the way it was made, it had like this little bubble or something. There's some imperfection on the top of the rim, but that was my favorite glass because it was imperfect. It lets me know it was real, like someone actually made that. So like just imperfections to me make things real because we are imperfect creatures. You know.
Oh my, this is a divine message. That's why I know I can literally end it right here because I just saw how to do that. And it's like when you just said that, and it wasn't until I realized that my imperfections were what made me unique. And I stopped trying to ascend. I mean, I know I had a deep voice like another guy on the radio at me at the same time, and he worked the shift before me. But I was like, how can I differentiate my voice from his voice? But I realized I could not do that. But then when I allowed my spirit to be free flowing, the spirit energy we talked about with the cooking earlier, it separated
Hmm.
the line right then and there. And I was like, oh, I got it. So if we can get our people out there to understand one thing, that your imperfections are what make you perfect.
Exactly. Exactly.